Hello, it's Rafael Gutierrez, and today I'm making a kind of a soft video, mostly talking about things that I've noticed in martial arts, not going into the science of anything. I'm going to do two, which I think people are going to like pretty soon. I'm waiting for after the 4th of July because I'm going to have to buy some stuff which to show you what I'm really talking about. Now, with martial arts, it's pretty interesting because every martial artist loves what they do. And at the beginnings, a lot of people will especially the ones who really get into it, will get into their art, and this is the only art that works, and it's perfect and everything, and they don't see that there's other things in other arts that work for them. And I don't care. I don't care if you're doing Okinawan karate, Japanese karate, Tai Chi. It doesn't matter. You can actually find every art has something to offer you. Now, initially when you're starting, you do want to choose an art and work based on the uh, ideas of that art. And then, if that works for you, that's great. But then complement it with other arts. That way you can see what people are doing. The other thing that I actually notice is that we don't just want to stick to martial arts. For instance, if we're actually looking at how to best throw a punch, but we're dealing with developing impulse and power. And for that, we actually have to look at other sports that develop impulse and power. Now, if I was doing something a certain way and everyone else is doing it different, now one of the questions that you have to ask is, am I doing it better or worse? If I'm not developing the power I want by doing certain things a certain way, and it's different than everyone else, I have to look at what everyone else is doing. So if I'm doing karate and my block, let's say I don't like my block, I don't feel it's strong enough or hard enough to block anyone. Well, then I need to actually look and see what people are doing. If their block is stronger, harder, or better, I actually have to adapt to what they're doing. If, on the other hand, something is different, if I'm doing a block, and I love my block because I can see and feel that it has a lot more power than anyone else's, and I can use it against anyone. And if I can use it against someone who weighs twice as much as me, is twice as strong as me, and it works. Well, and if I'm doing it different than everyone else, well, it doesn't matter because it's working. And so that's one of the things is a lot of times we get stuck on looking at what we're doing, and it's like, well, we don't like what we're doing. It doesn't have strength, but we won't look outside of our little hole. And we do have to do that. We have to actually look and see what other people are doing. So if in martial arts, if you're doing something different than everyone else, if it works for you, what I mean is if you can feel that you have power, if you're hitting makiwara, and you can see mine is a little different. I like that. 2 2x4s going up to one. If you're developing power and you like the power that you have on makiwara, well then, that's great. And it doesn't matter if you're doing something different than everyone else. All that matters is, does it work for you? Now, if you're doing the same thing as everyone else and you're not getting the power you want, you have to look outside of what you're doing. So, for instance, one of the things I actually notice is, a lot of times people in karate were doing things a certain way, where tight stick, and I didn't like the fact that I wasn't feeling I was getting any more power by sticking. I mean, I'd hit a punching bag and it felt slow, it felt awkward. And I did train with people who didn't do that. I ended up meeting a gentleman named Kensei Taba, who became my sensei, Taba Sensei, and he actually was showing me his way of punching, which worked better for me. He showed me how it worked better on a makiwara. You got more displacement, more power, and you weren't pushing. Now, when I started doing that, I started then also looking at boxers and different martial arts, and saw that some of the people who were known for their punches were actually punching the same way. And then I actually went on beyond that. Instead of just looking at the karate circle and then the martial arts circle, then I went into sports. And I started noticing that the people who were developing the most impulse and power were actually using the same techniques. It didn't matter what sport they were using. And so at the end, I kind of looked up and said, hey, okay, this is a better way to do it for me. Now, there are some people who may feel that, stopping and locking works for them. They may hit the makiwara 100 times and, they're getting massive displacements and, everything's working out. That's fine. If you're if you're able to hit a makiwara and get a lot of displacement, and you're getting a lot of movement, and you're getting a lot of speed bouncing when it bounces back, then you don't want to change anything. That's fine. But if you're not feeling that your art is giving you what you need, if you feel that someone else is doing something better, you really have an obligation to explore that aspect. And so that's one of the things that I believe on myself, and I try to stress on my students. It's a thing that my original Okinawan teacher, I've had other teachers before that, but Kensei Taba Sensei told me, which I take to heart. He told me, I'm going to teach you my karate and my techniques, but it's up to you to make your own karate and your own techniques. Now, I didn't take this to mean, I'm going to make Rafaru later on and become the, head of my. No, that's not what I felt he meant is, look, take the techniques, take what everyone, and he actually did say this too, take what anyone teaches you, and if anything works better, you use that. And so I've tried to do that. Now, as I do that, if someone is trying to teach me something, I won't do things the way I do them. I'll do them the way the person who's trying to teach me something is trying to teach me. Because sometimes by changing what I'm doing, I can actually find something that works better for me. Now, I'm going to tell something that happened when I was in Okinawa. I was at the dojo bar, and anyone who goes there will actually talk about it. And I met a couple people, and one of the people was, I think he was a Marine, and he was talking about how he went to Okinawa and it opened his eyes. When he was stationed there, he had always done boxing, different types of martial arts, and when he went to Okinawa, he found something that he never found before. He said his sensei had so much power, was teaching him so much that he felt he wasted most of his life because he didn't train under the right person. Now, one of the things I told him is, well, yes, you can see that, but at the same time, if you wouldn't have trained with those people, would he have been prepared to learn from his teacher? And I think probably not. I think having even teachers who weren't as qualified teach you before you go to someone who is qualified does help you. Now, I also did meet another gentleman in the bar who talked about how he was bouncing from school to school. And he said what's really neat is 90% of what people are teaching is the same. That 10% is a little different. And as he was saying this, I thought I could see that, but at the same time, the 10% difference sometimes isn't the difference. It may be that they're trying to teach one little thing so they can get you to a point, and everyone's trying to get you to the same point, but they're approaching it a little different. So, for instance, some people will actually use the movement of the hips for koshi. Some people will actually use a swing to get power. Some people will use breathing, and each one may choose. At the end, they may all actually get to the same place, but they're all trying to find different ways to teach you. And some of them feel that until you know how to breathe right, knowing how to do something else isn't going to work. And that is one of the big things. Now, I'll tell you what I noticed. I noticed that if you bounce around from dojo to dojo, yes, you do get a lot of variation, but you don't get a feel for you get superficial of a lot of styles. Maybe you'll get a lot of katas, but it's all superficial. If you go to one dojo, if you find the dojo that works best for you, if you ever go to Okinawa, you'll notice that there are a lot of dojos. I tell people if you actually want to go to Okinawa, go. And actually, I would tell you to contact the Traditional Karate Kabuto Liaison Bureau, and they can actually help you find people who would be a good fit for you. They also do have, I think it's open classes where you pay $5 to train with, I think it's people above eighth dan. And it is a great place for you to actually come across and meet martial artists, maybe potentially meet your future sensei. But one of the things that happens is you can actually do the salad and try a little of everything, but you won't know anything. The good thing is use this to find who works best with the way you like to train. And sometimes it may not be the person you would think. a lot of times people look at the big dojos and think that's where I want to go because that's where the guy who's famous is. But the big dojo may actually have a small branch where it's the owner's top student is teaching. The head sensei's top student might be teaching somewhere else, and he may actually only be teaching for fun or for hobby, and he may have something like 10 students. And if you go there, it's gonna be you and 10 teachers trying to bring you into a higher place. The other thing that happens is as you start going to Okinawa, you start realizing that some people, it's like, okay, well, it's like he wants to learn, I'll teach him everything I can. Then other people, they really seem to think, well, yes, he's here, but is he going to bother, or she, are they going to bother coming back? Are they going to actually just learn something and go home? They actually, one of the gentlemen I met told me that he's had a lot of people come in, train for one day, take their picture, and then he finds himself on someone's picture, and oh yeah, I trained under so and so sensei, and they kind of think it's okay, whatever. They did come in and train. If they want to say that, that's fine. But the thing is, they don't actually get expanded uh, understanding of karate, and so they kind of feel like, well, they're just here to take their picture with me and go on their merry way, and so you don't necessarily learn as much. Now, if you do find a place that you like and you keep go, you actually will start learning little small things that will make sense to you, but a lot of times, unless you're extremely observant, a lot more observant than me, you will not find it because these people are actually training by these instructors that are teaching you have been taught by people who had learned these things, and they modify them to make them best for getting more power, getting more speed, whatever they're actually looking at. Now, the other thing I actually noticed is there are some people who, everyone hears a story of the cup, you can't learn anything until you empty your cup. And one of the things I found is there was another gentleman I met who was telling me about how he trained and how he did it this way because that's the way it was. And yeah, everyone was trying to teach him something else, but at the end they noticed that he had a power and could move, and so they just let him do his own thing. Now, Okinawans, my experience has been they're willing to help you if you're willing to take help. So if they tell you, oh, you want to do this, you want to move like this, and you accept it, then they'll add something else to it. Yeah, if they tell you want to move like this, and you say, no, that's not the way I was taught, well, they'll be like, okay, that's the way you're taught. Do your own thing. Thank you for coming. Hope everything works out for you. They'll try to help you a couple times, but until you actually show that you're willing to learn from them, they're not going to waste their time with you. And yes, it would be a waste of time. If you go to a place to learn, and you tell people, well, this is the way I've always done it. Well, you're not there to learn. You're there to, I don't know. I don't know what you would be there for. And like I said, there are people who come in with that idea where, oh, well, I'm just going to do it my way because this is the way I do it and it works for me. Well, the thing is, that may work for you, but are you actually expanding? A lot of times people get stuck on these ideas of, well, I've been doing this for 20 years, but they haven't changed anything. They've been doing the same thing for 20 years, and they haven't perfected their technique. They haven't actually got to anyone to teach them. And so I guess what this video became is more of if you go to Okinawa, things to look out for. One is, it doesn't matter where you began or where you went to train. If you're there to train with someone who is a great karateka, he's going to teach you, and you don't look back and think, wow, I wasted my time because this guy's teaching me a whole lot more. Realize that you maybe couldn't have gotten to the level that you were to understand that you were what you did and didn't know until you actually went with your teachers who didn't know as much as these guys. If you go, yes, you can get the buffet of karate, but you'll never actually you'll never get to the core of what anything is. You'll just know a lot of superficial stuff, and you'll never go deep. So one of the things is, yeah, it's nice to get a little superficial, but also make sure you go to a place where they're going to actually give you more meaning, more meat, more of what the essence of their style is. The other thing is, remember that you're there to learn. you're not there to teach. You're not going to teach. You don't really have much. You think about it. Some of these guys started training before they were 15, and they're now in their late 80s. What do you have to? What do you have in your martial arts that you could tell someone who's been training pretty much for more than a lifetime that they haven't already seen it done, especially if they really love the subject and have moved around. I mean, I've actually talked to some of my teachers, and one of them told me how a couple of his friends do Aikido, a couple of them Judo, a couple of them boxing. There was one gentleman who I met who, well, he didn't train me in particular. He was a he was actually one of the medical doctors for the boxing federation there. And so the thing is, when you have all these people, they know, they already know what you know technique wise. If you want to offer something. If they ask, offer something that they can't get. So, for instance, one of the things that I was asked to do one time by one of my senseis, Nakasa sensei, is talk about uh, pressure, pretty much kushu pressure point, uh, but do it. But the way I did it is based again on how the body breaks, based on my experience in medicine. Now that's something that they wanted me to bring in, and I was happy to, because it was something that it was something I had that they didn't. I actually did go to medical school, and they didn't. So they were interested to see, okay, does this have any relation to clinical science? And when we found out they did, they thought, okay, that's really nice. We now understand that what we're doing makes sense to someone outside of what we're doing. But I didn't give them anything that they probably didn't already know. It was just the confirmation. So I guess those are the three big things. I guess that's what I'm actually talking about today, is just the fact that when you go to Okinawa, remember why you're there. You're there to learn. You're not there to show how great you are, because chances are they've seen people. They've seen what you know. And it's not to be offensive. It's just for people to understand. Yes, you have a guy with 80 years, 70 years experience, with friends who have actually done other martial arts, with people who have competed, with friends who have worked with boxers. How much professional boxers, how much do you think you're really going to be able to teach these people? I know I'm now getting repetitive, so I'm going to stop. And I'm just going to mention a couple of the stuff that I've always mentioned. If you are interested in knowing an experience of what it's like to go to Okinawa, I have my book, Cirrus and the Rarest Things. It's available on Amazon. And it's pretty much was my experience going to Okinawa after my father passed away. Well, actually, Tama Sensei passed away, my father passed away, and a friend of mine passed away at the same time. And I felt enough, I had enough and left. Another book that I actually have, if you like this channel and want to help support it, is the book. You can see the cover behind me, called Off the Rails. It's a train trip up the northern coast of California, with pretty much where I stopped along the way training in different arts. And I did talk about a little bit about them and how each one really did impress me. So with that, I guess I've talked for long enough. Hopefully you guys enjoy this video. There's two topics I'm going to talk about, but I need to go to the store and buy the things so you can I'm actually going to a butcher shop so I can buy certain things so you can see what I mean about how things break. I hope you have a good day and enjoy this. Please, if you enjoy this, please subscribe. And next week, I'm hoping to have one of the other videos up. Goodbye.